Somewhere under this city, right now, at least 2,000 men are about to do exactly what I'm about to do. Spend the day rubbing dead skin off strangers for a living. In one of roughly 150 marble rooms built across Istanbul to make that seem dignified. Most days, that's the whole job. Today isn't most days. Everything I do before noon is for a bride I have never met. Using AI reconstruction built from Ottoman historical records and modern scholarship on hamam culture, this is Ibrahim's morning as a bath attendant in Istanbul in the 1580s. 2 hours before the doors open, I'm already the only person awake in the building, feeding wood into a furnace most of our customers will never see and never think about. Here's the part people get wrong most often. They picture bathhouse water as some kind of recycled, murky afterthought. It isn't. Underneath every marble floor in this building runs a system of channels carrying heat from this exact fire to a slab of stone big enough to lie down on. And it takes hours to get right. Rush it, and the stone stays cold in the center while the edges scald. Today, of all days, cold in the center is not an option. Because at noon, a bride arrives. Not a customer, a bride, with her mother, her aunts, and however many of her friends decided this was worth the walk. Firewood isn't free either. Someone above me in this building's accounts keeps a running tally of exactly how much I burn, because every log is money leaving the endowment that pays for all of this. Burn too little, and the stone disappoints a paying customer. Burn too much, and I've spent next month's repairs on this morning's fire. Getting that balance right every single day is a skill nobody ever put in writing. You just learn it, log by log, mistake by mistake, usually in your first year. The man who keeps this furnace running is called a kulhanchi, and if you asked most of Istanbul what that word means, they couldn't tell you. Which is fair, in a way. Nobody remembers the fire. They remember the warmth. By the time the doors open, the furnace work is done, and a different kind of work starts. This one, people actually notice. The mitt is called a kees, coarse enough that first-timers usually flinch. It's supposed to feel like that. The point isn't gentleness, it's removing a week of dead skin in one sitting, and the flinching stops being funny to me around the third customer of the day. You'd think a bathhouse is just a bathhouse. Walk in, get clean, walk out. It isn't, and it never was. Men strike business deals on that marble slab that they'll shake hands on properly somewhere else later. Poets have written entire collections about arguments they had in this exact room. There's a whole genre of verse just about hammams, and some of the best lines about heartbreak in this city were composed by men lying face down on hot marble, half listening to me scrub their backs. And on the women's hours, which I don't work but hear plenty about, mothers come specifically to size up other families' daughters as potential wives for their sons, checking not just a face, but how a girl carries a tray, how she speaks to elders, whether she seems like someone who'd run a household well. Which is, incidentally, exactly what's driving today's noon deadline. Someone's mother did that math already, months ago, in a room I've never once set foot in. Now it's my problem. A young apprentice, barely started in the trade, asks the question every new telak asks eventually. Not the whole street, just everyone who happens to be near a window, which, this being Istanbul, is close enough to the same thing. Here's something else people assume wrong. That anyone can just walk into any hammam they like. Most of these buildings are owned outright by a religious endowment, a vakif, set up by someone wealthy enough generations ago to fund a mosque forever using the entrance fees from a bathhouse next door. I'm not paid by the bride's family today, and I'm not paid extra for getting this right. I'm paid the same 6 akçe per regular customer I'm always paid. But if this building's reputation slips, the mosque loses money it was promised 300 years ago by someone who is very thoroughly dead. That's a strange thing to carry into a Tuesday morning, but I carry it anyway. By late morning, the regular customers have cleared out, and this building becomes 2 different places depending on which hour you check the door. That's not a metaphor. Men and women never share this space at the same time, not out of modesty alone. It's built into the schedule itself, sometimes into the walls. Ours happens to be what's called a double hamam, 1 roof, 2 completely separate halves, and my half is about to go quiet for the day right as the other one fills up. I test the stone with the back of my hand. Not hot enough to hurt, warm enough to hold. Good. The towels are stacked, the rose water is measured out. Somewhere in the women's half of this building, a woman I'll never meet, they call her a natir, the female equivalent of what I do, is doing this exact same checklist, probably worrying about the exact same details I am, and neither of us will ever compare notes. None of this earns me a single coin directly from the bride's family. My wage today comes the same way it always does, a handful of akçe per customer, 6 from each regular visitor since dawn. But this building funds a mosque across the street through an endowment older than my grandfather, and somewhere in that arithmetic, heating 1 stone correctly matters to more people than just 1 wedding party. I go over the checklist one more time anyway, because that's the part of this job nobody warns you about. Not the heat, not the scrubbing, but the waiting. Once everything is ready and there's nothing left to do, except hope you didn't forget something. I hear them before I see them. Tambourine first, then singing. Then the specific kind of noise a crowd makes when it's genuinely happy and not performing it for anyone. This is what the whole morning was for, and I only get to witness about 10 seconds of it from a doorway I'm not allowed past. A gelin hamamı, a bridal bath, isn't a quiet errand. It's closer to a parade that happens to end in a bathhouse. The bride arrives dressed in garments her groom's family gifted her specifically for this walk, sometimes trimmed in silver, sometimes with a full headdress and jewelry she'll set aside the moment she's inside. Musicians walk with the group. So do most of the women in her family, and a fair number who aren't family at all but wouldn't have missed this for anything. My half of the building is already empty and cooling by the time the procession reaches the door. This part isn't mine to witness, and I don't try to. What I get is secondhand. The kulhanchi, for once, tells me the bride tossed a coin into the pool the second she crossed the threshold. The old wish for good fortune that goes back further than anyone in this city can actually explain, and that the stone held its heat exactly the way it was supposed to. He also tells me, because apparently everyone in the building heard it, that the singing didn't stop for over an hour. Somewhere in there, henna gets applied. Small rituals happen that I only understand secondhand and imperfectly, and a young woman who was somebody's daughter this morning starts becoming somebody's wife by afternoon, 1 bowl of poured water at a time. That's the whole review I get. A secondhand compliment about a stone passed through a furnace tender about a ceremony I'll never see the inside of. It's enough. Tomorrow there's no bride, no deadline, just the regular 6 akçe and the regular flinching at the 3rd customer of the day. But the fire still gets lit 2 hours before anyone else is awake, whether or not anyone remembers it was ever cold. Ibrahim didn't know, banking that furnace down for the night, that 600 years later, anyone would care whether 1 stone got warm enough for 1 wedding. He just knew the alternative, a cold slab and an unhappy mother-in-law-to-be, wasn't worth thinking about twice. Tomorrow, someone else's mother will be doing the same math about someone else's son. The fire will still need lighting 2 hours before dawn. Some apprentice somewhere in this city will still be asking his first telak whether the whole street really watches. And somewhere in Istanbul, 149 other telaks are having a version of exactly this same morning right now. Unremembered, unrecorded, and completely necessary. Men whose names never made it into any account except a wage ledger, keeping an entire city's idea of cleanliness, courtship, and quiet business running on time. One furnace at a time.